Good news for people in the Tar Heel state. North Carolina is ranked #1 in America for business. Now, this according to a new CNBC study. The state's strong economy is credited to one thing, and it may not be what you think. It's bipartisanship. That's right. State leaders found something they could agree on and put aside their political differences in an effort to boost business and the economy. Democratic Governor Roy Cooper, along with Republican State Senate President Phil Berger and House Speaker Tim Moore, managed to broker deals with companies to bring more business into the state. The trio have made deals with electric vehicle manufacturer VinFast and tech giant Apple. Maybe the trio might consider doing a Zoom tutorial with the politicians here in Washington, D.C. We might need it here. And some senior aides on Capitol Hill agree on one thing: Congress is not functioning as it should. A new survey conducted by two nonpartisan organizations revealed that. Dozens of senior-level congressional staffers believe Congress is on a, quote, vicious cycle of continual breakdown. 95% of Republican and Democratic staffers surveyed said recent polarization has resulted in otherwise non-controversial legislation to fail. Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan, who is ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, joins me. I didn't expect to ask you about those things. I didn't realize that Reed was going to be before you. I was going to be talking about that before you.
When the left controls one of the major political parties, it's hard to work with them because they don't like the country. They don't like the people who do love the country, who think America is the greatest nation ever. And you see that just every day. And then, frankly, you see the bad policies. You know, as I've said many times, we literally went from 2 years ago under President Trump, a secure border, to now complete chaos. You've seen the pictures today, what's happening there on the border. We went from stable prices to now record 41-year high inflation. We went from safe cities to record levels of crime in every major urban area. And we went from $2 gas to $5 gas. And the President of the United States begging OPEC, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Iran to increase production instead of
But there's some things. There's bipartisan. There's one bill that Senator Mark Warner told me about last summer, $52 billion. Part of it would be to help businesses compete on microchips with Taiwan. And so that passed the Senate. Then it went over in last summer. Then it went over to the House and passed the House in a different form in February. Now it's in reconciliation, so now everyone's arguing about it. It's got a lot of different elements to it. But that one core thing everybody agrees on, the $52 billion. But that doesn't get carved out so that we can get that done.
The thing we agree on is competing with China and making sure we have a chip industry here in the United States. So we agree on that, whether it should be $52 billion we're handing out to folks. And frankly, the state I'm from is going to benefit because Intel's said that they're going to put a facility in our state. They pledged that that's going to build chips. So we certainly want that aspect. But the idea that we're just going to hand out taxpayer dollars to a big company and all the other things the Democrats want to add to the legislation, that's what's, I think, bogging it all down right now.
All right, what I really wanted to talk to you about is November. Republicans could take the House?
I think so. You know, we never want to, my background's in athletics, you never want to be overconfident, but you do want to be confident and you want to campaign confidently. But I do think it's happening because of what I just said. You know, all the problems we see, 9 out of 10, think about this, and I've been in politics a while, you've been covering politics a while, 9 out of 10 of our fellow citizens think the country's on the wrong track. That is usually the best indication of what's about to happen in an upcoming election. So I think it's going to be a big change. I think it could be really big for Republicans. And then if we're elected, we got to have the courage to do what we told the voters we're going to do and do the things that we should do for the American people.
See, I look at it, and maybe I look at it with sort of Jonah's eyes, but I think what's going to happen is it looks like the Republicans are going to win. I mean, with the economy as it is, and they always blame the party that's in power, and the Democrats have House, Senate, and the White House. But come January, after all the sort of the hearings, like the January 6 hearings, I just don't see the Republicans not holding hearings on the Democrats. I don't see it as like, I think there'll be payback. I think there'll be a lot of hearings on the Democrats.
Well, a couple of things need to happen. The American people deserve the facts and the truth, and that's part of our constitutional duty. And I'm on the committees that typically is involved in. I'm on the Judiciary Committee. I'm on the Oversight Committee. Typically, the committees that are most involved in investigations. So we do need to do that, but we also need to address the problems. The biggest problem is inflation. It's the most cruelest tax there is on working families, middle-class families. It's hitting them at an unbelievable pace, 41-year high. So we need to look at that. We need to look at energy, and we need to look at the border. Those got to be the policy areas we focus on and pass the legislation that needs passed. But we also have to do our constitutional duty. The American people deserve to know where the virus started. The American people need to know the Justice Department is so political, it's treating moms and dads as domestic terrorists who show up at school board meetings. There needs to be an investigation into that. There needs to be an investigation. Thousands of Americans' tax returns were made public. That's not supposed to happen in this country. So the Ways and Means Committee needs to investigate that. So certain key investigations have to happen, but we also have to pass the legislation that's going to help families across this great country.
All right, I know you're not just paying attention to the House. You must have your thoughts about the Senate, whether that's likely to go Republican or not.
I think there's a good chance. We got good candidates. We got to keep Ohio because Senator Portman is retiring. J.D. Vance is our candidate. We got to keep Pennsylvania because Senator Toomey's retiring. Ron Johnson's got a tough race in Wisconsin.
That's my home state.
Yeah, and you went to the University of Wisconsin. We
That's
talked
right.
about
You went there,
go
too.
Badgers.
We talk about that all
go
the time.
Badgers. So we need to. Ron Johnson's a great senator and one of the senators I'm probably closest to. Then we got a good candidate in Adam Laxalt in Nevada. We got a good candidate in Georgia. We got to win some of those states. I think it can happen, but it's a little harder. But let's hope it does, and that Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate.
You know, I mean, we all make the assumption the House is going to go Republican. Questionable about the Senate, whether you're right or not. I mean, that's a guess
up to
more.
the people, yeah.
But then you look at President Biden, the situation he's in if he doesn't have the House.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to happen his last 2 years?
I mean, hopefully we can stop the craziness so it doesn't get any worse. And then, frankly, we have to use the appropriations process to get some big policy done. I think it's probably immigration, but it could be energy.
But what could he get done in the last 2 years? I mean, is he going to come negotiate with you if you have the House?
I mean,
do you see any sign of it?
I don't. I mean, you know, he said, I remember I was at the inauguration, and he talked about how he was going to unify the country, and then he went an hour later to the Oval Office and signed, I think, 21 executive orders that divided the country. So he says one thing and does just the opposite, and the left controls that party. And as I said at the outset here, the left doesn't like America, and frankly, they don't like those of us who do. That's why they have this disdain for us folks in flyover country. Remember when Anderson Cooper said Trump voters stay at the Marriott and eat at the Olive Garden? And you know, because he stays at the Ritz and eats at five-star restaurants. And I was telling one audience, I said, I don't know, but where I'm from, the Olive Garden and Marriott's a pretty good weekend.
I like those places too.
So
I actually
that's
like
the
those places
attitude
too.
they have, and that's what. Even though he says one thing, they have this disdain for folks in flyover country. That's going to be a problem.
Congressman Jim Jordan, always nice to see you. Thank you for
bet.
coming.
Good
Thank
to be
you.
with
Thanks,
Brad.
sir.
Thanks.